Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we are discussing what might be the most dynamic looking version of the 2021 model year launched Omega Speedmaster Chronoscope. I thought this was the most interesting chronograph launched that year. There were several dial variants, and this is the debut of the tritone red, black, and silver on this channel. I really feel that as a motorsports or action-oriented chronograph, this is a really cool look and probably the most compelling of the group. That's editorial. Let me give you the facts. In stainless steel, the watch is 43 millimeters in diameter, 13.3 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 48.7 millimeters, because it has a pivoted end-link bracelet. That lug to lug is the total distance across the wrist, and then the spacing between the lugs is 21 millimeters. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters circumference and flat across the top. And it's a big watch, but it's a wearable watch, partly because Omega converted the chronograph to a manual wind from an auto. This comes in a little bit thinner than we've come to expect in the era of 8500 family Omega tri-level coaxials. So this movement right here is the manual wind, Omega 9908, and it does create a thinner watch, although you'll note the cantilever of the bezel means that tight dress cuffs are still going to get hung up. I could see this wearing well on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. There's your definitive down the barrel shot and over the top. The bracelet's a lovely vintage-inspired piece. Many elements of this watch are vintage-inspired, even though it's a very modern timepiece. So we have this three-link design with polished intermediates, staggered link alignment, and integrated end piece, a little bit of a taper as we move down toward the clasp. Many removable links, and they're small in cross-section, allowing for a lot of fine-tuning of the fit. But if you still find your in-between sizes, you can use the little adjustment. It has two stops that's built into the clasp. You can see it's got about 2.5, maybe 3 millimeters of incremental adjustable length built in. We have this striated vintage style buckle, but it's a folding clasp with thick gauge steel and a modern twin trigger release. So when it's closed until you press both triggers to open it up. And here's a little push button micro adjustment mechanism. Taking a look at the case, it's familiar to fans of Omegas since the early 60s, lyre-style lugs. If you've ever heard that term and you're wondering what it means there's a bevel on the outside, and then there's another bevel on the inside. The outer bevel is polished. It expands at the end of the lug, thins out at the mid-case, but it does run all the way across. We have a little bit of a shear guard profile for the chronograph pushers and the crown. We have here a push-down crown, 50 meters of water resistance, and a lovely and evocative aluminum anodized tachymeter bezel insert, which is a great look because it really does play up the vintage vibe of this watch. And there's a sort of shimmering luminescence to an anodized metal bezel that to date ceramic has not managed to duplicate. So this is a great look. The tachymetric scale, which is used to gauge the speed of an object, such as a race car around a course, that's on the bezel. Underneath the dramatically boxed and cambered glass box style sapphire, which is designed to evoke a vintage plexiglass, we have the other two scales. And you can see at center, we have the telemeter scale, which is used for gauging distance. For example, artillery spotting, and then below that we have a pulsation scale, which can be used again with the chronograph hand to gauge the pulse of a patient. So I consider this to be a action/sports watch in as much as it's designed for variously racing, war, and medicine. You never know, you might be able to blend more than one. Let's say you're the trackside doctor at an F1 race, right? Taking a quick look at the dial, it is that classic sporting tritone with silver dominant. We've got a panda look with black registers, and then a few splashes of red. You'll also note that although it is a twin register dial design, we have these superimposed coaxial chronograph minute and chronograph hour hands over at 3 o'clock, so it is still a tri-register chrono. And you can see that each of these little sub-registers is countersunk slightly with an azurage concentric pattern. The same runs under the beautifully laid out hour track, and you can see the applied and glossy individual Arabic numerals. You'll note leaf hands, also blackened, and then this lovely counterweighted candy cane style chronograph seconds hand, which I adore. The chrono scale and the second scale with fractions of seconds and full seconds visible out board of the center dial. So outermost we have our chronograph seconds and fractions of second, and then we move inboard towards the center where you can see that this watch is a coaxial escapement master chronometer, but it does not have a date. Another design feature in service to the vintage overtones of the watch and the period character. We do not have a date, but we do have an independently mobile hour hand, which is characteristic of 8500 family movements. And so I can set the local time as I travel without stopping the chrono, budging the minute hand, or stopping the escapement altogether. If I do pull the crown out to its outermost position, now I engage hacking seconds. Now everything is stopped and I can synchronize the watch to the second if I wish to do so. A couple of little notes here about what's inside. We'll open up the bracelet and take a look. You can see the decapitated 9900 automatic becomes the manual wind 9908. And it's still twin barrel, it's still a 60-hour power reserve, it's still a column wheel vertical clutch chrono. In fact, you get a better view of the column wheel through the skeletonized bridge, and we have this arabesque Côte de Soleil or sunburst spiral striping that radiates out from an imaginary center point atop the balance. So the column wheel makes for a very crisp feel and sound while you cycle the chronograph, so let's hear. And then the vertical clutch means there's no seam or jump in the engagement. So when you start a vertical clutch, it commences, but it does not leap forward the way a lateral clutch does. Also, because there's no additional wear and tear or very little with a vertical clutch, when it's engaged, you can leave it engaged if you just like the look of center seconds. There's absolutely no reason you could not do that. The movement, as you can see, is properly sized for a fairly big case, so it looks good in this application. All this pivoting on 44 joules. It beats away at 25,200 vibrations per hour, which is a Swatch Group-wide rate that's common to their silicon hairsprings, and we have that here. This watch is effectively amagnetic, tested to over 15,000 Gauss or beyond 1.5 Tesla. So we have an anti-magnetic balance staff, escapement, and then the silicon hairspring. You can see we also have a free-sprung balance with a dual-anchored balance bridge, a screw fixing it on each side, making for very precise adjustment, but then also great shock resistance. We have, and I'll do my best to show this, but it's not always easy. If you look at the bridge below the balance bridge, you can see that there is a second bridge bearing the coaxial escapement, and that is derived from George Daniels and his design for a tangential contact double impulse system. It is 1/2 direct impulse, 1/2 indirect impulse, but in both cases it is tangential friction rather than a conventional Swiss lever, which is sliding friction. Sliding friction is much greater. This watch features the coaxial escapement, which is probably still the most sophisticated escapement you can buy below $50,000, so it is a feather in Omega's cap. Now you see that term master chronometer. What does that mean? Well, it means that this has met all the standards of the basic COSC, but it goes beyond, as it's been tested as a fully assembled watch for chronometry in 6 positions beyond the standard of the COSC. It's also been tested for power reserve, durability, anti-magnetism, and water resistance, so the master chronometer test goes far beyond the COSC, which is just a 5-position bare movement test lasting 2 weeks. And remember, master chronometer is not something Omega invented to give itself a medal. It's an open standard, and anyone can certify a chronometer thusly if they meet all of the standards. Tudor is now doing that, for example. So a master chronometer, or the METAS standard, developed in conjunction with the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, a very high-end certification for a complete timekeeper. We have 2 mainspring barrels to offer a very flat and even torque curve over the 60 hours of power reserve. That's the real advantage of having the twin barrel arrangement. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.